This is your news source evening bulletin for today, Tuesday, the 3rd day of July in the year 2018. Here's what we're tracking tonight. Well, it appears as though every weekend there will be an effort to smuggle items into the prisons across the country. The director of prisons, Gladwin Samuels, reported today that an unknown person was spotted during the wee hours of this morning near the fence of the holding area at the Lusignan prison. After an alarm was raised, the man managed to escape but left his bags behind. In those bags, prison officers found over 1,000 grams of marijuana, SIM cards, phone chargers, packets of cigarettes, and an earpiece. A camouflage hat and pants were also found. Investigators believe the man was attempting to throw the items over the prison fence when he was spotted. This is the second time in less than a month that someone was spotted attempting to throw items into the jail yard and managed to escape. An investigation has been launched. Just last week, Public Security Minister Kemraj Ramjatan said he is wary of the many efforts by prisoners to get illegal items smuggled into the prisons. He said he's even more wary of the involvement of prison officers in many of those attempts.
It's like the abnormal seems to be the rule there. You know, and we're trying as much. I now have to get technological about the thing. You'd have to get scanners at the doors that can pick up these things. So because I don't think you can collude with scanners.
Mr. Ramjatan said the prison service, which is expected to begin a recruitment drive soon, will have to look for and ensure it gets officers of a higher quality in the system. The Caribbean Community's Regional Commission on Marijuana has recommended in its report the decriminalisation of marijuana across member states. The report will be presented to the heads of government at the 39th conference of the regional body, which begins tomorrow in Montego Bay, Jamaica. At a press conference yesterday, CARICOM Secretary General Erwin Larocque revealed that the Commission encourages, in addition to decriminalisation, the freeing up of marijuana for scientific purposes and for medical use.
I think we have to separate marijuana based on what one considers to be the two uses, recreational marijuana and medical marijuana. Certainly, the Commission encourages, in addition to decriminalisation of marijuana, freeing up marijuana for scientific purposes, for medical use. Within that context, I would imagine that one could allow for trade in medicinal marijuana. And there's a distinction to be made. The international law governed by various, starting with the UN, there's a protocol of the UN, would preclude, at this point in time, the trade of recreational marijuana.
Possession and trafficking of marijuana in Guyana remains illegal, and they carry a minimum sentence of 3 years imprisonment for trafficking. But those laws have been described as archaic by Government Member of Parliament Michael Carrington, who has long been pushing for the decriminalisation of marijuana. Just recently, the Alliance for Change, of which Carrington is a member, renewed its call for the decriminalisation of small amounts of marijuana after a young father was jailed for 3 years for possession of the drug. In its report, the CARICOM Commission, which is made up of professionals in the fields of law, ethics, sociology, psychiatry, medical and social research, and criminology, argued that a strictly regulated framework for marijuana should be introduced. Let's tell you now that airlines heading to the United States have announced that passengers will no longer be able to carry powder-like substances in their carry-on luggage, except for baby formula and medically prescribed substances. The restriction comes from the U.S. Transportation Security Administration and covers all passengers heading to the U.S. The powder-like substances that will be allowed cannot be over 350 milliliters, 12 ounces, or 350 grams. The same limitation applies to the capacity of the container, which cannot be over 350 milliliters. The airlines are advising all passengers flying to the U.S. that they must give up any powder-like substance over the amount and place those substances in their checked baggage for transportation in the baggage hold of the aircraft. Caribbean Airlines and Fly Jamaica Airlines, which fly to the U.S. from Guyana, have issued the advisory to their passengers. On the police blotter, 3 months after a young laborer was stabbed and beaten to death in Kitty, a wanted bulletin has been issued for the man who is believed to be responsible for that murder. The Guyana Police Force this afternoon issued a wanted bulletin for 31-year-old Damien Bissoon, whose last known address has been given as Shell Road, Kitty. The police force's statement said he is wanted for the murder of Taj Andrew Harris. That murder took place on March 30th. Jarvis was attacked and badly beaten and stabbed and left to die on the roadway during what was described as a heated argument. Anyone knowing the whereabouts of Damien Bissoon is being asked to contact the nearest police station or call telephone numbers 226-2870, 229-2289 or 911. The Guyana Police Force has advised that all information will be treated with the strictest confidence. And finally this evening, 25-year-old Brian Bob Semple was today sentenced to 23 years in jail for the killing of 9-year-old Shaquan Gittins. The lifeless body of the youngster was found in the Houston cane fields days after he went missing back in 2015. Bob Semple had been charged for murder and was committed to stand a high court trial. However, he entered a guilty plea to the lesser charge of manslaughter, and today Justice Sandal Kissoon handed down the 23-year sentence. The convict was believed to be mentally unstable, but the psychiatric evaluation deemed him fit to stand trial. He had grabbed the youngster and assaulted him and murdered him. He later led investigators to where the body had been dumped. And that's your News Source Evening Bulletin for tonight. I'm Gordon Mosley reporting.